Here we go. $7.79. That's 888-595-7779. And hello, South Florida. Welcome to today's edition, another live edition of the Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate and America's longest running daily radio show all about the topic of real estate. My name is Eric Willner, and I am your host, as I have been here since the very beginning when this radio show started 22 years ago. We are here talking about all topics real estate every day, hitting you from a different angle and a different perspective. Of course, today, our midweek report, we're going to be talking about the news, the real estate news, as you will, as the Dow Jones reaches fresh closing highs and as stocks add to their year-end advances, and everything just seems. You always wonder whether the people over here are talking to the people over there because of you have such disparity in the marketplace. You see what's going on with the real estate market, also hitting 6-year highs, or 14-year highs on some numbers. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see that there still seems to be quite a bit of strength left in the marketplace. We certainly have a lot of demand in the marketplace. We got low interest rates, and we have a strong financial market to back it up, and a shortage of inventory, and a lot of factors out there. If you're a regular listener here of the Real Estate Show, you know that we're talking about a lot of the sort of major trends that are further holding up the strength of the market. And if that weren't enough, you've got the artificial supports in place. We're going to be talking about that in today's midweek report, talking a little bit about what's going on with the new stimulus package that was approved, the small package, if you will, that's been approved, and I think you'll probably find out when we talk a little bit about what's in there for landlords and tenants that it is small indeed. In fact, when you think about this, basically $1 trillion package, 900. If they don't add on the $2,000 stimulus and leave it at 600, which is right now seems to be teetering in the balance, or it could be well over close to $2 trillion, well over $1 trillion if they basically triple those checks, almost quadruple those checks to a $2,000 stimulus. Now, I'm not going to debate the merits or which side of that battle you and I want to be on, but I will debate the issue of the already approved package, where there's a $25 billion cutout. Okay, now let's put this in consideration. 1 trillion is 1,000 billion, and there's 25 of it allotted for what everyone is saying could be a foreclosure tsunami. What currently, I will tell you, there's a lot of landlords out there that have not received a rent payment, maybe in as much as a year. Think about it. We're T minus 2 days left in the year. We're now getting ready to cross the threshold, end the week, end the year, end the month, and go into 2021 in January. And the pandemic stopped everything in its tracks in the beginning of March. So that would mean March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, 10 months. We're going into 11, and that's assuming that the tenant was able and making payments on March, in February. If there were already, let's say, a month or two behind back then, as were people naturally in foreclosure, as were, it just happens there are people in that situation as tenants, and ding, 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 they were saved by the bell. And as a result of that, they now could have been living rent-free for an entire year. So we're gonna dive into that. I want to do a couple of announcements before I get too far deep into that. I see your message there, Ronan. Thank you. I won't be able to do that right in the middle of the show, but I'll see if I can do that on the break. Also, I always like to start out, and I thought that today's quote was very thematic. And this is an old Spanish proverb that goes like this: "He who does not look ahead remains behind." And remember, 2 more days. Hopefully, you've done your goal setting, you've done all of your preparation, and in fact, as I have been saying, start the engine, ladies and gentlemen. You know, when the NASCAR racers are at the starting line, they don't sit there with their engines off waiting for the race to start. Their engines are running, they're revving, they're warming up their car, they're doing all sorts of preparations, and hopefully you are too, because I think it's going to be a NASCAR year ahead of us. So a couple of things. Number one, remember, our mission here is not on our midweek report is not to be or play the journalist here, but we're looking here to educate and empower more of you, the listeners, real estate owners and investors alike. I want you to take what we talk about here and use it, act on it. This is what it's all about. And so our mission here is to empower and educate real estate owners to have a bigger and better, more secure piece of the American dream here. So that's number one. Number two, remember, we're live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, live at 5, if you're listening to us now over the airways. And then we're on one more time again in the day, tonight at 8 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 days a week, 10 shows. And it brings you each day unique information that you can use and act upon here. Then, in addition to that, you know, our Monday nights, we talk about, we have an extra workshop after our show where we talk about how to accelerate your equity, how to make your real estate be more valuable, build equity faster, and some real frontline, cutting edge techniques that we talk about there on our workshop. And if you want to attend our next one next week, which is actually next year, then text the word. You're going to want to write this down. In fact, punch this number, save it in your phone, tattoo it on your arm. But you want to save this number because you're going to hear me give this number out over and over, but different text words for you to get different information automatically sent to you. So the number here is 561 861 2366. That's 561 861 2366. And for that Equity Accelerator Workshop, all you have to do is just type in the word equity. Send that forward. We're going to send you a private link inviting you to our workshop. It is by invitation only, and I'm inviting you, our listeners, right here on our radio program. Then Tuesdays, once we're done getting our equity in the accelerated mode, now we want to also open up more doors of opportunity with our credit accelerator workshop. And as if you listened to our radio show yesterday, you know, I had a very special guest on there, and we were talking about first-time home buyers and some of the down payment assistance programs, some of the grant money programs, and all of these are going to slip through your fingers if you're not ready with your credit, which is why since November, all through that month, through December, all through this month, I have been pushing this free workshop for you to be able to learn more about credit. And we're going to be doing actually one more before the end of the year. So if you'd like to come to our credit workshop, last chance this year, knock out 2020 with a little bit of education and more preparation. Text the word credit to 561 861 2366. And you won't be sorry that you did. So in addition to that, so those are the 2 workshops that we have left. Next week, I'm going to be announcing some new workshops. Oh, one more, almost forgot, our Real Estate 101 workshop. And this is an opportunity, and we're doing this one on Sunday night. Now remember, that'll be January 3rd at this point. But on Sunday night, all you have to do is text the numbers 101 for Real Estate 101, and we're going to have a workshop, an introductory, sort of a build a foundation. It kind of reminds me of when Notre Dame, when they started the football season every year, the coach would come down and he'd say, "Gentlemen, this is a football." And you got to have your foundations under control. And if you want to come there, this is space limited. Real Estate 101 workshop, Sunday evening at 9 p.m. That you can get your invitation simply by going 101, text 101 to 561-861-2366. So those are my announcements there. And don't forget, by the way, in our credit workshop, I'm also showing folks how to transform their credit history into credit scores. Now, up until now, when you paid rent, that rent didn't count. You could pay it on time like clockwork, and it didn't affect your credit score. I'm going to show you how to do that. And by the way, this is not just for tenants. This is for landlords. If you're trying to sell a property to a tenant and you want to boost their credit, this is a great thing to know. Again, credit to 561-861-2366. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some of the other headlines that we're talking about. You know, I think the picture for next year is going to be very different for residential and for commercial. And we're already seeing a lot of trouble in the commercial markets. Retail stores, especially these mom and pop that, had no way of surviving, now 10 months in lockdown in this corona virus environment. And so we're going to be watching that, but that's not where my focus is going to be. My focus today is going to be not on the U.S. home prices surge to another high as more people flee the cities. Suburbs are just getting, the demand in the suburbs is just phenomenal. And then when you talk about suburbs in places like Texas and Florida, Arizona, and places like that with nice climate that were already retirement destinations, now that people can sort of start working in an early retirement mode, long distance, well, then that the Southern Belt is benefiting and reaping the rewards. Now, for those of you sitting on the sideline, which is why I was saying, don't hesitate, don't wait. This is where you want to be stepping up. The best time to buy real estate is when you can. Remember, it's not a matter of if someday there's going to be a bad market. So if you keep saying, well, what if the Senate elections goes this way? What if the president elections goes the other way? What if the interest rates go up? Well, it's only going to make it worse. In fact, one last comment about the home prices before we go into a break, and then I'm going to jump right into the stimulus. The low interest rates have been so far mitigating the rise in prices, right? The lower your interest rate, the lower your payment, you can afford to buy more house or a bigger house or a more expensive house. Well, what happens is there's going to be a point where the interest rates aren't going any lower, but the prices of the houses are, and there's going to be more difficulty in buying. Remember, I said there's two major mega trends out there that are pushing home prices up. The best time to buy real estate is when you can. Don't worry about the dip that is going to come. We talked about that. We're going to talk about that stimulus. We're going to talk about how that stimulus is going to minimize or at least make it less coming up. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. A few words from our sponsors. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to The Real Estate Show. My name is Eric Willner, and I'll be right back. So I got your message there, Ronan, and apparently I have to figure it out because they changed on the fan page. The personal page stayed the same, but on the fan page, how to flip the image so I know that The Real Estate Show is coming out inverted on the fan page, but I have to figure that out, and I don't know that I'll be able to do that. Well, let me see something right here. Hang on a second. I just saw something new. Pop Crystal Country. No, I don't want that. Let's see here. I don't know if I want to no filter. Hey, how about this? Look at that. Pop. Would you like to see the classical view? Country View. We're having some fun here. How about some funk? Acid. Let's go with pop. I like that one. That one looks good. Gives me a little bit of a tan. What's the stimulus impact on rent? Well, right now it is. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And but I let's see here. I don't know what this. I'm afraid of what this button's going to do. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure that out a little bit later, my friend. And we're getting ready to come back. So there you go. So we're coming back. And welcome back. For those of you just joining us, you are listening to The Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate, America's longest running daily radio show, all about the topic of, you got it, real estate. So there's been some rattling of the cages. As you know, this whole stimulus conversation is at the top of every headline every single day. And it's enough to give anybody indigestion. And finally, of course, the last minute, last Sunday night, President Trump did sign into law, and he approved. So both chambers signed it. The president signed it, and there is a $600 stimulus package. The $900 billion package that you know about has been approved. And in fact, I heard today evidence that a number of people have already received their 600. So if all your little ducks are in order, you file electronically, and maybe, I don't know whether it's alphabetical, because not everybody got their $600 checks that got them early last time, but some did. So that's already going. So they've got some systems in place that are doing better. Sounds like they're doing better with the stimulus checks than they're doing with the vaccination. But be that as it may, the stimulus checks are on their way. You know, I'm not going to get into the eligibility for the stimulus check because this is the real estate show. And what I want to talk about is what is in the relief package for renters and for landlords. Now, it's an interesting thing. I've actually got a couple of properties that I put one up today on the market for rent, and it immediately got some interest. And I'll tell you that on behalf of yours truly, as well as behalf of any landlords that I represent, when the tenants, who sometimes will say, well, you know, what does it take to get in? Traditionally, it's first, last, and 1 month security. We can talk about that whole concept of why I would make a little change to that. But I basically explained it's going to take, you know, the equivalent of first, last, and security to get into the property. They said, would the landlord work with me on less than that? And I said, unfortunately, the absolute answer is no. And I'm going to recommend any landlord putting a property into service today say the same thing. In fact, what I would probably say, instead of asking for a 1 month security, first month, which there's never a concession on that. If you take less than first month's rent, then well, I'm not going to say, because it's not going to be nice. Number two, if instead of getting last month's rent, ask for 2 months security deposit. And that way, someone doesn't arbitrarily, your tenant, tell you when they're applying what to the last month's rent. That way you get proper notice. That way there's adequate protection, because if you think about it, a 1 month's rent doesn't even come close to the amount of damage that somebody with ill intent can do, let alone normal wear and tear. So be that as it may, at this point in time, I would rather be another month. I would rather be an extra month vacant than spend the next 10 months unable to evict someone who doesn't pay. And unfortunately, and I saw this at the beginning of the COVID, when the first moratoriums went into effect, a lot of sneaky tenants, they figured they looked for that, and they were asking in force all sorts of creative ways to get in the properties, even ask people to sign the deed over in a rent to own situation. And imagine how those people who might have accepted that might be right now. So here's the thing, and there's important deadlines that you're going to want to, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this article up on our website at automaticlandlord.com, where you can also listen to this radio show, where you can listen to the replays of this radio show. Again, that's automaticlandlord.com. And I'm going to post this article because there'll be some links. Number one, there'll be a link to the important deadlines for mortgage relief, which we'll get into. How to request mortgage relief, COVID mortgage relief programs, and I'm going to give you links to that. Hey, Simone. And then I'm also going to give a link to rent relief programs. All this stuff is all brand new stuff in the new package. Also, some unemployment assistant links for you. Remember that in each one of your towns, the same way you have 411, you have 911, there's a little known number known as 211. And 211 is community assistance programs. So dial that in your area, and it automatically forwards to your local assistance areas, whether they be community, church, civic, government, whatever it may be. So just remember that 211. It's a huge tip out there. Look out, by the way, look out for mortgage relief scams. Just like I was saying about the rent and with the landlords. There will be folks out there that we try to take advantage. We've already seen scams with the vaccines. We've seen, be very, very careful. Double check everywhere. So then I'm going to have other resources too on the thing. But so here's a couple of things. First of all, since March of 2020, almost a year ago, homeowners had certain protections under the CARES Act. That was the act previous to this one. These measures, which apply to loans backed by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or other federal government agencies, include homeowners that may opt into a forbearance plan. Whole other conversation. I already told you what I thought about what you should do. If you don't need it, don't use it. Save it for later. Though people in forbearance were able to pause mortgage loan payments, but remember, catching up becomes very difficult. And as I also said, the mortgage company has a lien on the landlord's property, so that money is not going to go away or be forgiven. A tenant, on the other hand, doesn't have a lien on anything, and once they get past 3 months behind, if they don't get the assistance necessary to catch up, you may find a lot of them walking away. And yes, it may, and that's only if the landlord goes after them, may have an effect on their credit, but that once they save up 3 months and they can go first, last, and security somewhere else, and why pay 10 months when you only can get away with 3? Please don't do that to your landlord, but I'm just telling you what has happened in the history managing properties for over 2 decades. Mortgage companies cannot start foreclosure proceedings against homeowners who are unable to make loan payments. So all of that was good until December 31st, right? 2 days, or actually tomorrow. All of that would have expired. That has now been extended, first by many states, then by the federal government, to January 31st. And now there is rattling going on in the background saying that that's going to be extended again. I've heard as short as February, the end of February, as long as the end of May. Stay tuned. We're going to get back onto that. But if you have a conforming loan backed by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, the new deadline right now is January 31st. If you have an FHA, a VA, a USDA, and those of you who have one, you'll know it. If you have one of those mortgages, you're protected until February 28th already as of now. So some homeowners with federally backed loans can also make initial request for forbearance all the way up to February 28th as well. So all of that. The goalpost just got moved back again. And we'll probably continue. You remember tomorrow we've got our all about the money, and since this is a money discussion, we'll talk more about some of these resources available. Look on our website at automaticlandlord.com for the complete article, which I'll put up there. Anyway, the music's coming in. That means I'm on my way out for today's edition, but we'll be back again tomorrow, same place, same time. So until then, this is yours truly, Eric Willner, signing off for the Real Estate Show. Drive safe, wash those hands, and make it a great year. Bye-bye. Thank you, Dan. Talk to you tomorrow. Go ahead. That's hung up. And say hi to my good friend there on YouTube. Thank you. And did I see you last night on last night's call? I don't recall. If you were there, you were quiet. If not, I missed you. So I missed you. And Facebook, what do you think about the